The papers were right in front of me, my son's voice trembling with fake tears. "Mom, please, it's for your grandchild." His wife's phone was already recording, another performance. They didn't just want my apartment, they wanted me to sign my life away. But here's what they missed. While they staged their little drama, I'd already sold the property. While they forged signatures, I rewrote my will. And when their lawyer called to claim my home, that's when I finally spoke. Check the public records. Funny how greed sounds when it's met with silence. I wasn't always the woman who outsmarted her own son. 10 years ago, I was just Linda, the school librarian who repaired torn book pages with Scotch tape and kept candy in her desk for heartbroken teens. My world was small but warm, a creaky apartment, Ethan's soccer games, and the smell of my late husband's cologne lingering on his old coat. Then the accident happened. One rainy night, and suddenly I was a widow with a 12-year-old who'd stopped speaking. We grieved in silence, me budgeting grocery coupons, Ethan hiding his father's photo under his pillow. But we survived. No, I survived. Double shifts, college applications. Even when Ethan brought Anna home for Thanksgiving, I pretended not to notice her frown at my thrift store curtains. She'll grow into our family, I told myself. And for a while she did. I sold my jewelry to help with their wedding, hosted dinners where Anna praised my cooking, though she'd pushed the food around her plate. Then came the shifts. The way Ethan's hugs turned stiff after they married. Anna's innocent comments. "Mom, stairs are dangerous at your age. Wouldn't a nursing home be safer?" The day I found my spare keys missing, and Anna's "oops, borrowed them" text a week later. But the real wake-up call? My 65th birthday, Ethan forgot. Anna sent a vitamin ad titled, "Seniors Who Stay Active." And as I sat alone with my cupcake, it hit me. They weren't neglecting me. They were erasing me. That apartment? The one they assumed I'd just hand over? Every brick represented something they'd never understand. The overtime shifts I worked to buy it. The nights I cried in its tiny bathroom so Ethan wouldn't hear. The dream I had of grandchildren at my table, of growing old on my own terms. So when they staged their little intervention with those fake pregnancy tears, I'd already made my move, because love shouldn't come with a price tag. And mothers? We know when to stop paying. And trust me, you'll never guess what I did next. It crept in like winter drafts under a door, subtle, persistent, leaving goosebumps you can't quite place. At first, I made excuses. Mothers excel at that. The first chill came on a Tuesday. I returned from bingo to find Anna lounging in my living room, her manicured fingers wrapped around my grandmother's teacup. "Hope you don't mind," she said without looking up. "Your spare key was just sitting there." My skin prickled. That key had been hidden inside a flour canister for emergencies. Then the silence started. Ethan's weekly calls became quick check-ins, just long enough to ask if I'd updated my will. Their social media told a different story, # date night, # baby planning, though no doctor visits ever appeared on their calendar. Once, when my phone buzzed during dinner, Anna actually rolled her eyes. "Can't this wait?" she sighed, as if my friends were an inconvenience. The mail began disappearing too. A neighbor finally handed me an overdue property tax notice that had been accidentally delivered to Ethan's address. That same week, I caught Anna elbow deep in my filing cabinet. "Just organizing," she chirped, quickly shutting the drawer. I counted my keys that night. 2 were missing. But the real wake-up call came during what should have been a happy moment. My 67th birthday dinner. Anna brought dessert, a sugar-free, salt-free, flavor-free, age-appropriate cake. As she cut slices, her bracelet caught the light. My bracelet. The one I'd kept in my jewelry box since my husband died. "Ethan said you wouldn't mind," she lied smoothly when I froze. My son just stared at his plate. That's when I noticed the folder peeking from her designer purse. Power of attorney, revised. The pieces clicked like tumblers in a lock. The concerned questions about my memory, the helpful offers to manage my finances, their sudden interest in senior living communities. That night, I moved my important documents to a safety deposit box. started recording our conversations. And when Anna dropped by the next day with paperwork, just needing a quick signature, I made sure to brew her favorite tea while the hidden camera rolled. Because here's what they underestimated. Librarians notice everything, the way a patron's eyes dart when lying, which books get checked out together, and exactly how long it takes for poison to... Oh, relax. I'm not a monster. But I did learn one fascinating fact from our medical archives: how easily fingerprints vanish from glass surfaces, especially when someone's busy planning your disappearance. The knock came at 12:17 p.m. I remember because I'd just taken my thyroid pill, the one Anna kept forgetting to refill. Through the peephole, I saw them holding a bakery box like a peace offering. Ethan's tie was crooked in that way he used to do as a boy when he wanted something. "Surprise!" Anna chirped as I opened the door, thrusting those sad grocery store roses at me. The cellophane crinkled like cheap candy wrappers. "We thought you'd love a proper family lunch." The moment her Manolo Blahniks crossed my threshold, I smelled it. The sharp citrus of her designer perfume masking something else. Nerves. The way sweat and ambition mixed to create something acrid. My fingers tightened around my teacup as I led them to the dining table. The oak one Michael had sanded raw before the cancer took him. 3 place settings. My wedding china. The silence between us grew teeth. "Mom?" Ethan began, rubbing his thumb over his knuckles the way his father did during difficult conversations. "We need to talk about your situation." His pause was a living thing. "Living alone at your age, it's not safe." Anna's hand fluttered to her flat stomach. "Especially with the baby coming." My teacup froze midway to my lips. There was no baby. There never had been. The ultrasound photo they'd shown me last month, a quick Google search revealed it was a stock image from a parenting forum. Ethan slid a manila folder across the table. Inside, documents gleamed like surgical instruments. Durable power of attorney, revoked 3 weeks prior at my lawyer's office. Apartment transfer agreement, worthless since the deed already bore another name. Mental competency, evaluation, signed by a doctor whose license I'd already reported. But the masterpiece? The video. "Just for legal protection," Anna murmured, swiping open her phone. There I was, disheveled, confused, patting my head for missing glasses. Out of context, I looked every bit the dementia patient they wanted me to be. The kicker? The date stamp matched the week they'd accidentally taken my spare keys. This wasn't a concern, it was a premeditated character assassination. I let the silence stretch until it became a third guest at the table. Then I stood, my knees popping in protest, and walked to the antique secretary desk, the one they'd circled in a furniture catalog I'd accidentally found in their car. My folder hit the table with the finality of a judge's gavel. Inside, security footage of Anna pocketing my jewelry, time-stamped and notarized. Audio recordings of Ethan coaching her on the senility angle. A bank statement showing the $15,000 down payment they'd taken from my account. And the pièce de résistance, the apartment's new deed, signed over to the Women's Shelter Foundation. Anna's gasp was the sound of a chessboard being flipped. "You can't..." "Oh, I already did." My smile was all teeth. "The check cleared yesterday." Ethan's face cycled through shock, rage, and something almost like pride. "You planned this." "No, sweetheart," I corrected, tapping the video still playing on Anna's phone. "You did. Every lie, every stolen moment. I just documented." The silence that followed was sweeter than their untouched dessert. When they left, without their previous papers, without even their cake, I didn't watch them go. I was too busy uncorking the champagne I'd chilled for this very occasion. As the bubbles burned my throat, I realized something delicious. They'd been so focused on playing house with my life, they never noticed I'd already moved out. The champagne bubbles tasted like betrayal, not the sharp, dramatic kind, but the flat, stale variety that comes when you realize you're drinking alone. Again. I should have been celebrating. Instead, I was counting the seconds between Ethan's voicemail pauses like a cardiologist reading an EKG. Mom, 3-second gap. That was uncalled for. 4 seconds. Anna's been crying. The longest pause yet. You're not well. 4 replays. 0 apologies. Just those 3 damning words. You're not well. Delivered with the clinical detachment of a doctor signing a death certificate. By dawn, I'd scrubbed my kitchen raw. Not just the teacup Anna's lipstick had stained, but the very grooves between tiles where their conspiracy had taken root. When my sponge finally disintegrated, I found myself staring at the knife block. Not with intention, just curiosity. How many meals had I prepared here hoping they'd stay for dinner? That's when Helen's number flashed on my screen. My college roommate, the woman who'd seen me through childbirth and bankruptcy, who'd warned me about Anna at the wedding but swallowed her words when she saw my teary smile. You still make those awful pancake shapes? She asked instead of hello. And just like that, 20 years dissolved. We talked until my phone burned against my ear. She never said, I told you so, just, he's lost his damn mind, and when are you visiting Sedona? But hope is a stubborn parasite. Next morning, I typed out a text with trembling thumbs. If the boy who needed nightlights until age 10 still exists somewhere, I'd like to talk to him. The red receipt appeared instantly. Then, nothing. For 7 excruciating hours. Then came Anna's reply, a single thumbs down emoji. No words, just that vulgar little icon, the digital equivalent of spitting on my doorstep. In that moment, I finally heard it, the soft snick of a lock sliding home. Not the dramatic slam of a door, but the quiet finality of a vault sealing shut. They weren't coming back. Not for forgiveness, not for love, only for what they could scavenge from the wreckage they'd created. And me? I stopped waiting by the phone, stopped jumping at mail notifications, started sleeping through the night for the first time in years. Funny thing about hitting rock bottom, you suddenly have perfect clarity about who's been throwing the rocks. The silence after surrender is the purest sound you'll ever hear. No more pleading, no more pretending, just the crisp rustle of legal documents and the satisfying click of locks turning in your favor. Phase 1, digital disappearance. I didn't just deactivate Facebook, I scorched earth my online presence. Changed my number to one with an Alaska area code, redirected mail through a virtual mailbox service in Delaware. When Ethan called my old number that 3rd time, he got a disconnected tone. I know because I had Nancy's team record it. Evidence, should we need it. Phase 2, the legal onslaught. Nancy Ortega's office smelled like victory and espresso. Her fingers flew across her keyboard as I spoke, translating my heartbreak into legal code. We'll structure this so airtight they'll suffocate trying to challenge it, she said, sliding over documents that would make my assets vanish from their grasp like smoke. The living trust was poetry in legalese. My pension, locked in a bulletproof annuity. The silverware collection, donated to a culinary school for single mothers. Every loophole preemptively closed, every contingency accounted for. But the will, oh, the will was my masterpiece. Not a cent to Ethan or his grieving widow. Instead, everything flowed to the shelter where I'd spent years teaching financial literacy to survivors. Nancy's pen hovered over the witness line. Last chance to change your mind. I smiled for the first time in months. Make the print extra bold. Phase 3, the ghost move. The apartment sale happened so fast it would make their heads spin. Nancy's network produced a cash buyer, some tech millionaire who wanted a character-filled pied-à-terre. We closed in 5 days, with all documents routed through 3 shell companies. By the time Anna's generous offer letter arrived, the deed had already been recorded in someone else's name. I packed light. 2 suitcases of clothes, Michael's leather jacket, still smelling faintly of his cologne. That lopsided clay frog Ethan made me in 1997, everything else stayed for the new owner. Let them sift through the ruins. My new apartment was a furnished rental with water views and no forwarding address. The first morning, I burned breakfast on purpose. The smoke alarm's shriek sounded like freedom. Phase 4, the counterattack. Nancy's call came at 8:17 a.m. They filed for emergency guardianship. My hands didn't even shake as I emailed her the ammunition we'd stockpiled. Dr. Chen's cognitive evaluation score 98th percentile. Time-stamped videos of me reciting pi to 50 digits. The damning footage of Anna stealing my jewelry, while Ethan coached, "Make sure it's something she won't miss right away." The hearing lasted 9 minutes. The judge, a woman with steely gray hair and no patience for exploitative sons, dismissed their petition with prejudice. They couldn't refile, couldn't appeal, just had to swallow that bitter pill of defeat. Nancy sent the ruling by certified mail along with my final message. Any further contact would result in criminal harassment charges. I imagine Anna's scream when she read it could have shattered the crystal. For 3 glorious weeks, I breathed easy, took up painting, learned to make proper espresso. Then came the envelope. Thick ivory paper, no return address, postmarked from a town I hadn't thought about in decades. The handwriting stopped my heart. Because the last time I'd seen those looping letters was on a birthday card from 1983. Back when Michael was alive. Back when Ethan still believed in magic. Back before the world taught me that love is just leverage waiting to be weaponized. I traced the unfamiliar postmark with trembling fingers. The return address might be missing, but the message was clear. Some ghosts refused to stay buried. The ivory envelope taunted me for 3 days. I'd turn it over while washing dishes, run my thumb along its crisp edge during news broadcasts. That out-of-state postmark, a town Michael had mentioned once in passing, pulsed like a fresh bruise. On the 4th morning, I slid it open with his old letter opener. The blade caught momentarily, as if resisting the truth inside. A single sheet, centered text, no salutation. "We were wrong, but you've won. If you want closure, meet at the Duck Pond bench, Saturday noon." No signatures, just that royal "we," the same one they'd used when presenting their forged documents months earlier. My fingers trembled, but not from hesitation, from recognition. The duck pond where Ethan had cried over a dead bird at age 6. The bench where Michael once whispered, "We face hard things together." Saturday dawned cloudless. I dressed carefully in the blouse I'd worn to Ethan's graduation, applied lipstick, even considered his favorite sandwich from the deli we used to visit. Then I stayed home. Instead, I packaged the ceramic frog, its glaze cracked from years of clumsy dusting, and mailed it to their last known address. On its underside, I'd written, "I kept this to remember the boy who shaped it with small, hopeful hands. The man you became needs no reminder from me." The mailbox latch echoed like a gavel. 3 weeks later, Nancy's call came as I was pruning rosemary. "They filed another petition," she said. "Through Anna's uncle this time." I could hear her smirk through the phone. The judge dismissed it before they finished presenting. That evening, I opened the cheap Merlot Michael and I used to drink on payday Fridays. Poured 2 glasses out of habit. The second one sat untouched as moonlight painted the walls. Some might call this loneliness. I call it quiet. The kind that comes when you stop waiting for apologies that will never arrive. When you realize justice isn't a courtroom verdict, but the ability to sleep without checking the locks. To leave wine undrunk without mourning. To look at an unmarked envelope and finally feel nothing at all. The postcard arrived on a Tuesday. No return address, just a blurred postmark that might have been Nevada. On the front, a generic sunset. On the back, in unfamiliar handwriting, the frog broke in transit. Pity. It was the last fragile thing between us. I traced the words once, then dropped it in the trash unceremoniously, where it belonged. Funny, I'd expected to feel something. Anger, vindication, even grief. But as I washed my hands at the kitchen sink, watching suicide circle the drain, I realized the greatest revenge isn't victory, it's indifference. They say forgiveness sets you free. Maybe it does. but so does walking away with your spine straight and your name intact. I didn't choose rage, I chose boundaries. And boundaries don't shout. They lock doors, they change wills, they pour wine for one. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to win to be safe. You just need to remember who you were before someone convinced you that survival required silence. If you're watching this, maybe you're still standing in that kitchen holding the pen, heart pounding, wondering if choosing yourself means becoming the villain in someone else's version of the story. Let me be clear. If protecting your peace makes you the villain, then let them fear the quiet. Because there is power in letting things break. There is dignity in not fixing what they shattered. And there is freedom, deep, terrifying freedom, in deciding that some doors were never meant to stay open.